Convoy operations have to shut down. Trucking company after 95 years has to go out of business, and you have a freight brokerage bubble about to burst. What is going on? Well, stay tuned and find out. Hey guys, hopefully you guys are all out there safe on the road, because I sure am. Today we're going to be going over a article that did just come out on FreightWave. Convoy is closing their operations because of financial struggle and just the way the market is right now. As you can see in this article, it's over. Convoy shutting operations. No strategic white knight to the rescue. If you guys didn't know, Convoy is a truck freight brokerage. The ultimate blame for the collapse is that Convoy found itself in the middle of a mass freight recession and a contraction in the capital markets. This combination ultimately crushed our progress at the same time that it was crushing our logistical strategic acquirer. It was the perfect storm. But it wasn't just a logistical strategic acquirer. There has been a drop in mergers and acquisition activities in the logistics sector, and most of the logistical acquirers of Convoy are also suffering from the freight market collapse, making the deal doing that much harder. Basically, what it's saying is that they're trying to get another company to buy them out, but they're struggling to get the loan to do it because banks are making it very tough right now, due to the fact that banks don't want to take the risk with a freight market collapsing and with these high interest rates. Oddly enough, in the Seattle Times, Convoy apparently found a buyer just the day before I was about to edit the video, and I just got it in here to let you guys know, so here it is. So, sadly, a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs. It is the type of environment that we're in right now. Trucking freight rates have been horrible. Dog crap. And you know, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, sadly. But it just shows you the way the economy is, because if you want a good indicator on how the economy is doing in the US, look at the trucking industry. It is bad. It is not looking too good, and I don't think it's going to get any better. We're going to be seeing a lot of companies closing their doors, from small to mid and even large. Look at US Express, but even though they got bought out, that's what Convoy was trying to hope for. But right now, nobody can basically get a decent loan to do it. It's expensive out there. So, but next we're going to be looking at a company that has been around for 95 years in California, and sadly they're gonna have to close their doors because things are just getting too expensive to manage a trucking company. And apparently they had like 120 trucks, which is just crazy, but it just shows you how hard it is right now. Family-owned California trucking company seizing operations after 95 years. That's a long time, folks. Third-generation family-owned trucking company and brokerage, Certified Freight Logistics, headquartered in Santa Maria, California, is ceasing operations on Saturday after 95 years. So, reading more into the article, it seemed like the company definitely did let their employees know ahead of time when they're closing their doors, because things weren't looking too good for them financially. But, you know, you feel bad, especially having a trucking company in California. I would think is very tough, because freight over there is just fluctuates a lot and not much moves as much as the East Coast and Midwest. That is for sure. So we're going to be looking at another article that I found that was pretty interesting, and Convoy is involved in this and probably what led them to their downfall. Freight brokerage bubble bursting as freight markets faced long winter. The average transaction size of loads has collapsed. Loads that generated $3,000 in revenue 2 years ago now ship for only $1,500 in revenue. Due to enough of these transactions and the size of the credit facility starts to collapse. That isn't necessarily a problem if the broker had held onto the capital when times were good. But it does become a problem when the capital is used for more growth and to make more purchases. For Convoy, it was to fuel growth. For other brokers, it can be a personal use like homes, cars, airplanes, and yachts. But much of the broker's industry growth has been fueled by financing structures such as venture capital and asset-based lines of credit. The appetite for venture funding of freight brokerage has been dead for over a year now and is partially responsible for the reason Convoy has failed. And as you can see, this is when you have to be financially ready for things like this, especially personal and even for a company as well, because you don't know when hard times are coming, and sometimes having too much debt can be a big issue. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't really predict what's going to be happening in a year from now, but you can kind of take little hints just looking at the economy on how things are doing. And right now, it ain't looking too good at all, sadly. I wish I wasn't so pessimistic, but with interest rates being up in the Federal Reserve at around, I think, 5.3%, homes at the moment, just to get a mortgage is hitting at 8%, you know, and home prices are very expensive. Things are starting to really tighten up. Getting business loans is very difficult. That's why a lot of these trucking companies are struggling, because they got to close their doors. They can't get loans like they did probably 2 years ago, when maybe their revenues weren't at what they thought it would be when it came time to go over their finances. But, you know, all you can do is just kind of worry about yourself and do what you got to do to survive out here in the world. I'm just going to give you my opinion on where things are heading. So we got to start off with the economy, the way things are, the consumer. The consumer is basically what pays our paychecks as truck drivers, because when they buy a product, we bring it to the store. If they didn't buy the product and the stores had too much inventory, there's not that much demand, freight rates are bad. But right now, you look at the consumer, they're very, very chained up right now. We have the lowest savings rate at the moment. I won't say the lowest, but it is hitting close to there, as you can see in this chart, around 2008 levels, 2007, 8 levels, around there. But yeah, it ain't looking too bright. And then you get little articles like this where we surpass credit card debt to over $1 trillion, which this just happened very recently. And this just shows you that people just don't have the money. They don't have the money in the savings like they did in 2020 or 2021 when freight rates were amazing. People were making so much money. I wasn't in an industry at the time, but from my understanding, watching videos and reading and hearing about other people talking about it, people were making some good money, and everybody was making money in 2020 and 2021 when all the shutdowns pretty much stopped. People had a lot of exposable cash saved to go spend it because they got stuck for 2 years in their house. Then what gets really worrisome is now that the people are struggling, they're starting to tap into their equity on their homes, as you can see in this article, which they're doing it at a time when home sales are plummeting 20% over a year. Now, that should be a little bit worrisome right there, because, yeah, the sales might be going down, and from the article, it seems like home prices have gone up like 3-4%. But the Federal Reserve really wants to bring housing down, especially the price of the house, so people can afford it. If that happens, and I think it's happening, it's crippling. You see a couple markets out there, like the big ones, Texas, Arizona. There's a lot of houses going up in the market. And yeah, people say, oh, there's not enough inventory, but I think that's just a bunch of baloney, be honest with you. But yeah, I don't know. Let's put a scenario here. Let's say if house prices do go down and you got these people taking equity from their homes and HELOCs so they can pay their bills to live, because that's how expensive it is to live in this country, in the United States. And that's just middle class, and it's just sad. It's just sad to show you how inflation's just affecting everybody, and I see it every single day. And like, I'm very frugal. I don't go too crazy, and I don't have debts up to my eyeballs. But man, it's definitely sketchy, and things like that is what kind of gets you worrisome, especially in the trucking industry, because that just shows you, let's say if housing prices do go down, people are going to be selling their homes, they're going to be selling their cars, they're going to be probably going bankrupt, or they're just going to be just stressed out, and they're not going to be buying as much stuff in the stores because they don't have the capital to do it, because they're trying to live in a house that they barely can afford. And if they don't buy stuff in the store, then what happens to truckers? There's nothing to transport, and these stores will be over inventoried, leading into freight rates going down because they're not desperate to move product around. And you know what? That's going to be a spiral downhill. How far it goes, I don't know. Only time will tell. But yeah, it's and with inflation at 3.7% and not going down, the Federal Reserve is going to have to get a little bit tougher. Keep rates a little bit longer, meaning, or bring them up. That's the worst case scenario. But they have no leverage. Fuel prices are going up. It's almost at $90 a barrel. And if you could look at the chart, it seems like it's starting to really trend in the upwards direction, which we do hope it doesn't happen because, you know, it's going to increase fuel prices for us truckers, sadly. We haven't seen it in a while, and a lot of people were complaining a couple months ago when it was higher than that. I think the highest one was $104, and it's starting to creep back up there. And on top of that, it's definitely not going to help with the inflation situation that we got going on here, and the Federal Reserve can't really do nothing about it. Higher fuel prices is going to bring higher prices for consumers who are already struggling. So it's going to be interesting. Personally, if I was you, I would definitely just make sure you just don't have yourself financially strained with a whole bunch of debt with these high interest rate loans. That's the only way you can really save your money and try to save your money. And when an opportunity comes around, which I think personally, a lot of opportunities are going to be coming around next year. I want to get a truck. Of course, people in the comments will tell me not to get into the industry, but I don't have any really expenses. I don't have a mortgage or anything for me. I'm not saying it's not everybody, but there's going to be opportunities out there no matter what it is. It could be a piece of property, but there could be a cheaper car next year or cheaper truck. That's when cash becomes king. Now, with the war, I don't know where that's escalating. Hopefully, I don't get drafted, but we'll see. I'm going to end the video here, guys. Hopefully, you guys are really enjoying what I'm putting out there. If you guys have any questions in regards to what I'm saying, and I would love to hear your opinions on how the economy is going on your end, and also if you're in the trucking industry, to tell me how your experience is as well. Please subscribe and like my videos. Hopefully you guys be safe out there on the road, and see you guys until next time. Bye.